So we're going to move on to some questions and answers. I believe we have some questions, Michael.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of questions. I think that are, one of them we've kind of spoken about through it, but there was a comment on our last podcast episode, although it was ages ago, so we've got to apologise for it taking so long. But it is an interesting one.
Yeah.
And it is, how often would you recommend bite work or attack mode for your dog? Oh, I've got a couple of things on that, but I'll let you go first.
First thing, don't ever call it attack mode again.
I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my first point. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my first point. But yeah, let's say you never ever say attack mode. But how often would you recommend bite work?
So for a guy who's just starting out and there's a lot of learning going on, you're learning to train the dog, you're teaching yourself to pick up on the dog's temperament and stuff like that. What I would say is that you need to, one, do a bit of bite work initially when the dog's old enough as well. Don't do it too young. Right? You can do some tug work and stuff like that when they're young, just to get them into it, but don't go overboard, because you'll put them off for life. When they get to an age, do a little bit of a test with a trainer or someone who's trained to bait dogs. Do not do it yourself, because you might inadvertently teach your dog to bite you on command. I've seen that happen. And just see if he's got it in him. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything more than that. Just see if he'll go on the sleeve and he will protect when there's a sign of violence. That's all you need to do. Take him off. Job's a good one. All right. Even if you have to, obviously, if he doesn't release, just get him off however way you can. If you have to choke him off, you know he will do it. Once you know he will do it, get everything else down. Get your obedience down, get everything squared away to the point of where you are pristine and you're looking smart. Then go back and work on biting. Because once all that's down, bite work will be easy. Because the obedience and the words of command and the dog listening to you and being that bond with you and him will make bite work easier, because once the bite goes on and then you say release, that dog will come off. That would be my personal opinion.
I think the way in which I was going to phrase it, I think, is as much as the dog needs. I think that is one of the best ways to say it. So obviously, let's take my dog for example. So when I first went to training, had no interest in whatsoever in biting a sleeve, biting a rag, whatever it was. So obviously, I then, the only way in which I could do it, the problem was with him is that he had no interest with playing with other people. Other dogs do whatever, play all day. In terms of people, this is why I say my dog, I don't think my dog likes a lot of people, but he'll put up with people. So let's say I met you, he won't like you, but he'll put up with you. He'll be like, all right, this guy's just living with me. So when I went training, if I got a rag and I whipped it at him, he would grab hold of it and we would have a tug. If the trainer went up, my trainer walked up and he could put the rag over the dog's eyes and let go, and the dog would just stand there whilst it was there. So what ended up happening is I know people say that don't use a sleeve with your own dog and don't use bite cushions or whatever it is, but the only way in which I could get my dog to have the idea of what we're going to do is by doing it myself and making it, between me and him, making it a game. So when I first started, it was I had to get the rag and had to take that home and teach him the game. Then when we went to training, obviously then he would realise, oh, I'm playing the game with this guy now. So then he would be on the rag, and then it comes to sort of bite cushion. So I had to take the bite cushion back home, and I would have the bite cushion or like the bite bar, and I would teach him the bite game at home. And then when we went to training, I'll give the trainer the same bite cushion or whatever it is, and then the dog's like, all right, I'm playing that with this guy as well, am I? And then when it comes to a sleeve, I know people say don't use a sleeve or whatever, but I then had a sleeve and I was teaching the dog the game at home, and then we went training, and then I gave the sleeve to the trainer, and then the dog's like, all right, I'll do this with this guy as well, do I? And then obviously that's the way in which I had to work it, because my dog had no interest, because he was a pet, he had no interest in other people. It's like, well, I'll play games with you, but I'm not playing with this guy. I don't even know who this guy is, you know what I mean? So like the early stages, it was like I would go home and like just like 20 minutes a day, half an hour a day, is I'll just spend doing like this with the rag or with the cushion, with the sleeve or whatever it is. So 20-30 minutes a day. But then like twice a week, we at the very early stages, we would go training. So once or twice a week, he would then do it with the trainer. But it was at that point, it was all just a game. None of it was really aggression or anything like that. That part come later. And then I'd say I'd done that for maybe a couple of months of maybe like 20 minutes a day. And then leading up to before we was going to do our NASDO, I probably would have maybe done it once or twice a week. Once he got the idea of the game, it was when I went to training, we was doing it. But it was, but when I say was doing it, it's only like, what, 5-10 minutes of training. We do 5-10 minutes of like stand off, go on the sleeve, come off, go back on the sleeve, let him win the sleeve, etc. And then the dog goes in the back. So it's only like 5-10 minutes, but it's like once or twice a week. And then now it's maybe once a month or whatever it is. When I go training, maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't, because he knows the idea of it. And if we get the sleeve out, we know he's going to do it. It's not a case of like, right, he has to prove it every single time he turns up. If I went to go and do a standoff and the trainer come towards us and the dog back down, then maybe I think, right, let me get the sleeve out just to double check that if I go in, if I go to hit him or whatever, he is going to bite. So I think if the trainer saw a difference in the dog, maybe you'd think, well, let me get the sleeve out just to double check. But I think it is a case of as much as the dog needs to. There's lots of people at training that we all know that if you go to give the dog a clump, he's going to bite you. Therefore, he doesn't. There's no need for, in just normal CT training, there is no need for that dog to go and do bite work, because we all know that if you go to clump him, he's going to take a chunk out of you. So that dog, but then like my dog does need to do it maybe once a month, once every other month, or whatever it is. And then there are people that are first coming in that need to do it more or less every session. But like I say, that's maybe only once or twice a week, or once a week they'll be doing it. And maybe they'll do 20 minutes at home, etc. So I think it is just as much as the dog needs to. But once the dog is proved to a point that no matter what happens, he is going to bite, then it's just a case of just every now and then you just let the dog do it.
Yeah, I would say that, like, both valid points from our side, and along similar lines. It's all down to the dog. It's down to circumstances. Everyone's different. Good, do you know what? Easy indicator, right? For anyone who's wondering about needing to do more bite work or not, or more protection work. If the dog's in front of you when you're doing a challenge, odds are it's going to bite the person that's coming towards you. If a dog's next to you, and so staying by your side, not moving forward, the dog's not confident. If the dog's behind you, you've broke it. That's pretty much an easy indication of when you need to do more or less.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of the problems you can have. You can obviously, if you can break the dog early, if you do too much early, you can obviously break the dog, and then the dog will obviously be behind you or whatever it is. And there was times when my dog used to be behind me when we first started with like the sleeve or whatever. Yes, he would back off and go behind me, but now he doesn't do that. There's no backing down.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I say behind you, I mean like running the other way. I don't mean like next to you, sort of shriveling a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just a confidence issue. Most dogs get that.
But there's two ways. So in terms of that, obviously he would hide. So it's like, okay, well, we just need to take it back a peg, get his confidence up a bit more, and then we'll introduce this again. But then the other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go too far the other way, where the dog becomes bite bite heavy, and the dog just wants to bite everyone. You know what I mean? Like there is a nice middle ground in which to do it. So it's like I say, it's to the point, if you're doing protection work and then you're walking down your street and the dog starts wanting to bite everyone that's around him, then you need to cut back on that bite work. That dog doesn't, that dog, that dog wants to bite someone. So therefore you don't need to carry on doing the training. And this is something that I was speaking to a handler with lately, and he's got a reaction issue with the dog at the moment, which he's trying to sort out. So the dog, he trained the dog up, and the dog was absolutely fine. And then he took the dog to his first shift, and then when he come back, all of a sudden the dog started being reactive with his girlfriend and like people that he lived with, like just over that one shift. So he had a reaction issue that he was trying to sort out, and it was like and the dog is properly wanting to bite. So he went to training and he said, "Oh, I don't want to do protection work because I've got this reaction issue. I don't want to keep showing the dog how far he can take it in terms of biting someone, because it's a problem I've got with family." And the trainer said, "No, you've got to do protection work." So he ended up having to do protection work. To me, that dog didn't need to do protection work because the dog's already proven that it will bite someone if he has to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an odd one with that, because for a dog to change its behavior that quickly, something must have happened, an experience must have happened on that shift that caused that dog to turn that way.
Yeah.
Dogs don't just do that out of the blue. That's either a bad experience or lack of exercise.
Yeah, I spoke to him about it a little bit, and he can't put his finger down to what it was. And like even now, like he takes the dogs when he gets home from shift. He takes the dog for a walk before he goes in, and things like that. I've spoken to him. He seems like a good guy, and he seems like he is a green handler, but he seems to be committed to doing your patrols and all that. So possibly, depends on how active the dog is, possibly the dog could just do a little bit of exercise. But yeah, it was literally just over one shift. It just happened.
Well, to the gentleman who's having this problem, also, obviously, you're a green handler, so you are still learning stuff like that. But remember as well is that if you're nervous and you're looking over your shoulder and you're feeling panicked when you're walking with that dog is going to get aggressive with people because he's going to think they're the cause of it. So that might be what's triggering him. If you're nervous that he's going to bite or he's going to lunge, you being nervous is going to cause him to do that, because he thinks you're scared, and then he looks for the first thing that could possibly be what's scaring you, and then he tries to attack it. So just bear that in mind as well. Try and remain calm, and always just have it in the back of your head. Have a loose lead. Don't tighten the lead up. The more you tighten your lead up, the more you're going to drive that dog to want to be more aggressive, because the more you tighten that lead up, the more the dog thinks something's wrong. Loosen your lead off. Have a relaxed way, but make sure that you've got your safety grip on your lead. So if the dog does lunge, he ain't going anywhere. He's locked in. You've got control of him. Yank him back. Tell him no. Sit him. Calm him down and carry on with your day. Just try and remain calm. That's the main thing.
Right, we'll move on to. It was a comment that was actually this morning, and I did reply back to it, but I think it's something that possibly could do with being spoken about as well. So it was, "Hi mate, got a question. I've heard this is a 60-hour course. How is the dog meant to learn to bite training in that time? Or are you expected to do further training after you get your license to be prepared to work in the field? Or is the course longer than 60 hours?
Do you want to take this one, Michael, or do you want me to?
You go first, mate, and then I'll if I've got anything, I'll add it on.
Right. Okay. So when you go to a trainer to get your examination, you do your 60 hours of mandatory training. What you've got to remember, guys, is that you are going to get certified as a dog handler. So when you walk away from that, you're going to be a security dog handler. That means that companies are going to see that certificate and think you know what you're doing. If you go to a trainer and you've not done any prior preparation or training, then you're failing to, you're failing to prepare. You're not putting yourself in good stead. You should be doing research. You should be getting the knowledge you need. You should be going to a trainer and doing some training, or even another dog handler that's got years of experience behind them, and train with him. And learn what you need to be able to do. It'll also make your course easier, because by the time you get to your course, you've got so much knowledge in your head. You walk in, you'll get asked to do something, and then you'll be shown it, and you'll be like, in the back of your head, they're going, "Oh, I've done this fucking 50 times. I'm going to be all over this." Trainer don't know that. And then, before you get to the, you get to the end, pass with flying colours. But just remember, it's all about preparation. Make sure you prepare. What's that? I'm ex-military. I should freaking know this. 7 Ps. Do you remember the 7
What?
Ps?
The 7 Ps?
Yeah. Never heard of it?
No.
Prior preparation and planning prevents piss poor performance. That will help you throughout your entire career. Just remember that 7 Ps.
Yeah, I think this is where the confusion comes in terms of NASDU or whoever it is being a 60-hour course. So the 60-hour course is to pass you as a human being as a security dog handler. So you've gone through your SIA, so you're a security guard. Your NASDU is a 60-hour course to make you a dog handler. It's not for the dog to become a security dog. That's different. So once you do your SIA and then you've done your 60 hours, you can still work the dog whilst it's training before you get the team certificate, as well as yourself. So let's take me, for example. So overall, it took me about 6 months with me and my dog. So we done about 120 hours, I think it was, in total. The last sort of 60 of that, of the qualification, was obviously my NASDU. But before that, it was months of doing training for myself, doing training with the dog, etc. And I'm not talking about it just being bite work. I'm talking about the obedience to patrol, the agility, all that sort of stuff. It was all that training as well before applying for the NASDU. So when it comes to NASDU being a 60-hour course, that is to pass you as a human. That's not saying it's 60 hours for that dog to pass, because you could buy a trained dog and you'd still have to do the 60 hours. You could have a dog that's completely green and you still have to do them 60 hours. It's not a case of, right, in these 60 hours, this dog is going to learn how to do everything a security dog should. It's not that. It's in these 60 hours, you as a human should learn everything you need to in order to become a security dog handler. We all know for a fact it's not. We all know for a fact that experience and speaking to other people is where you'll get more information than you will do in the 60 hours. But it's not a case of, in the 60 hours, this dog must be able to do this. It's going to be some pre-training. It's going to be the training during it. And then even past that, the dog will do more training. And then they'll say, right, the dog's passable. We can give you a team certificate now.
Yes. So again, just going back to what we said before, it literally is just a case of being prepared. You turn up to do an exam, your dog should already be at a standard that it should pass the exam. You would, easiest way I can put it, if you were going to do your GCSEs, you wouldn't walk into a GCSE exam without studying for it, would you? Mm-hmm. So you're not going to walk into a dog exam without training your dog.
I mean, I'm saying no, but this is probably the reason I'm sitting here with no GCSEs.
I seen a twitch there. I was just like, he did, didn't he?
I'm sitting here with next to no GCSEs going, yeah, you've got to study before you go in. When I know for a fact when I was 16, I was playing football or golf.
Oh, mate, I'm just playing it off on you. I'm a dyslexic scouser. You don't even want to see my school records.
But yeah, I think that's important just to understand that the 60 hours is not designed for the dog to learn everything. It's the 60 hours is designed for you to become a security dog handler, and then the dog team certificate side is separate to that, with some pre-training, and then obviously some training during the 60 hours, and then. But like I say, it all depends on how you do them 60 hours as well. If you do that week intense course, then the dog is definitely not going to be able to pass through that. Let's say you took a reasonably green dog, so he's got some bit of training, but not loads. If you took him to a week intense course, there's no way when you walk out a week later that the dog's going to be passable. But if you do it the same way I did, where you was turning up to a session a week for 4 or 5 months, and you was doing the 20 minutes, half an hour a day at home as well, then over them 60 hours, because it's over 3 or 4 months, there's a good chance that the dog will pass at the same time as you. If not, he probably will be a month after you or whatever it is, but that doesn't matter because you can work that month. So it all depends on how you do them 60 hours and how much time you put in away from training to how that's going to go. So like I say, that's why I don't really agree with the week intensive, because if you had a reasonably green dog, he's not going to pass in 60 hours in a week. But if your 60 hours is done over 4 months, there's a good chance that you can put in the training in between in order to get through.
Yeah, I mean, me and you both know that the week intensive was designed for experienced handlers to get recertified, or the dog recertified. That's all it was for. And obviously some people have went, oh yeah, I'll just let anyone do it. With that as well, is that if you're a green handler and you've got a green dog, and then you think you're going to go and do one of these week intensive course 60 hours, a couple of things are going to happen. One, you're going to lose your lust for the job very quickly because your brain is going to be fried. And then the other thing is, you might break your dog because you're putting that dog in an environment it's not used to, and you're telling it to learn all these things that you've never taught it. And all of a sudden, some guy's coming along and hitting it, trying to hit it and trying to hit you. I wouldn't be surprised if the dog turned around and bit you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the week intense courses, I think they do have the course dogs, don't they? Where you go down, you use the course dog, and then you try and get a team certificate with your dog afterwards. I think that's generally what happens. But if your dog is up to a standard, I believe you can take your dog to the week intensive. But obviously, it depends how close the week intensive course is to where you live, because you're not going to travel. You're not going to travel 100 miles a day every day, so you can take your own dog when you can get a hotel there for a week and do it with a course dog.
Yeah, usually the intensive guys, if they've got accommodation on site, they'll usually have kennels as well. If you do want to use your own dog, I just think it's a little bit counterproductive to go and train with an animal that's not yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it either.
It just seems stupid. Because that dog's going to have a completely different temperament and a different mindset to your animal. And you need to learn what your animal is in order to work effectively as a team.
Well, I've said that to someone else about, like, especially like course dogs and things like that. It can give you a fake belief of how good you are as a handler. So let's, for argument's sake, I could give my dog to a green handler. And I'll say, all right, I said, well, when that guy comes over, shout security dog and handler, stay where you are, he's going to kick off. Right. So the person comes out, someone says, the handler says, security dog and handler, stay where you are. My dog bangs on the end of the lead. the handler thinks, oh, I did that. Then he goes and gets another dog, and someone walks out and he goes, security dog handler, stay where you are. And the dog looks at him and goes, and what are we doing? He goes, oh,
Yeah.
He goes, no, you're meant to do that. And he goes, no, I don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it can. Like,
there going, you haven't taught me that yet.
yeah. You go, no, I don't know what that command is. Who's the security dog and who's the handler here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it can give someone like a bit of a fake representation of what they are as a handler or whatever it is. Because if you give them no matter what handler I kind of give my dog to, if I teach him the commands, he'll do it to a certain degree. He might not do it the same way he does it with me, because he might think, well, actually, I'm protecting myself here because I can give a toss what happens to you. But when I'm at the end of the lead, he's like, no, I'm protecting me and you. So it can be a bit different. But if I give them the commands to a certain degree, the dog is going to do what it's trained to do because he understands commands. And he, like the same way, I've got the fiance knows a couple of his commands. Just in case.
Something else then. I was going the very wrong way.
No, but the same way.
Sorry,
but the same way that my
well trained.
But the same way that my fiance knows a couple of his commands, so that if she needs to use them, she can. So if she uses them commands and he does it, to her, she's like, well, I'm like a dog handler. I know I can make him do this and that. But give her another dog, and she'd be like, go and do this, and the dog would be like, I don't know what we're doing here, like, you know what I mean? So yeah. I think course dogs are a bit of a sticky subject in terms of they, like I say, you do a week's intensive course, and then you go back and you get your own dog and you say, right, do this, and the dog goes, I don't know how to do that. Like, you still have to then go training and teach that dog how to get to that point.
Yeah, take that away, guys. Honestly, take that away. Is train with your own dogs. Don't be training with course dogs or other dogs, because it's pointless. You ain't going to gain anything from it apart from a false sense of security, as Michael's just pointed out. Yeah. So, well, any more questions? You got any more?
I think that'll do. I think that'll do for this episode. Like I say, anyone that's got any questions or want any questions answered in the next episode, put them in the comment section below. If you've got anything to say about this episode, like I say, these are just our opinions, and there'll be people with different opinions and different sides of certain stuff, and like we're open to having conversations or to listening to your opinions and that. But yeah, if you've got any opinions, put them down in the comment section below as well. I think we'll try and record another one of these soonish. Like I say, since the last one, I've been on holiday, you've been busy. It's just been quite hard to find a morning together where we're both off and we can do this. But we'll try and do one pretty soon.
Yeah, our romantic rendezvous. Don't tell this. But yeah, as Michael was saying, guys, we're trying our best to get them out as quick as we can. Obviously, get down in the comments, guys. Let us know more questions, what you want to see from us. Also, like and subscribe for Michael. Make sure he's got plenty of views for his followers. Get his name out there. The more people we have, the better. Bigger circle, more information, all that great stuff. I haven't really got anything else.
No, I think we've bored these people enough. I think we should leave them to it. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode. We don't know when it's going to be. Could be a couple of weeks, could be a couple of months, could be a couple of years, could be a couple of decades. But we will see you in the next one. Cheers for watching. Cheers for listening. We'll see you next time. See you later, guys.
Peace out, guys.